Good morning. Today is April 2nd, and we're going to talk about a few things: leadership and some characteristics of the Alpine Union, what will set it apart, and a little bit about states, and besides leadership, the difference between leadership and just crying wolf. There's a difference between saying there's a fire and being the fireman. So that's why you need the Alpine Union. So the question is, do whites have what it takes to stop white genocide or not? And do they want to have what it takes to stop it? Those aren't the same questions. And I think that historically, whites have proven that they don't have what it takes in terms of wanting it. Do you want what it takes? And they don't. They like to fracture along religious lines and do stupid things. So they run. They basically run. They run out of India, out of Egypt, out of Brazil, out of Zimbabwe, South Africa. They used to have all of North Africa. They gave that up. And they're giving up their countries right now. So they don't have what it takes to survive. And honestly, they're going to be toast. Because they don't want it. They don't want to win. They want to do other things. But here I am. I have to do what it takes to win, because I know what it takes to win, and I know I have the want. You have to want to win, and you have to want to have the things it takes to win. And the next thing I want to tell you about is states create culture. If you don't like today's culture, you need a new state. So why do states create culture? How do they do that? Well, they issue degrees, like colleges, universities. They certify these degrees. These student degrees are, the president of your university will say, by the power vested in me by the state of whatever, I hereby confer this degree. So degrees are state issued, effectively. And the states write the histories, they write the official stories, and the history has to comply with the official narrative. So the state defines your reality, the state defines your heroes and villains. And that's what we have today. And of course, the states fund the universities, they fund the arts and the museums, they buy the books, they order the books that shape the publishers, so the publishers conform to what the state demands. The state produces the curriculum, they sanction and license what's on radio and TV, they define who gets to be on it, who gets to be the pundit, and who gets to be vilified as the crackpot. And of course they define other things like marriage and family. So if you want a normal family, you need a state that wants health, strength, and beauty. If you have a state that's defining other things as marriage and family, you're going to have collapse. The states invent religions that serve the empire as well. Christianity, according to his name is Atwell, Christianity is a product of the Roman Empire. Mormonism is a product of the Freemasons, and the British government invented numerous religions to fracture the West, including Wicca and Satanism and British Israelism and Zionism, Christian Zionism, Pentecostalism. These are all from the British government. So here's a few characteristics of the Alpine Union. There's no taxation. This has an advantage in terms of being able to spread across where we want it to spread, because if you're not taxing people, you're not creating a conflict, and therefore you're not triggering a defensive response. So that's very useful. And in the Alpine Union, there'll be a board of trustees, which will keep out subverters. And the subverters are the warmongers, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Freemasons, the other weirdos that we know about. The Alpine Union won't have official stories. There's no need for a NASA, a TSA, or a NSA. There won't be a Federal Reserve, because we're not creating money to lend back to the government. You would have a mint, a digital mint, giving an allowance to a Congress, and they have to prioritize and then spend it and stay within the budget. The Alpine Union wouldn't have debts, deficits, or interest, because we're not into that, and therefore you wouldn't have the fear that the place is going to collapse as we have now. And politics is racial husbandry, not race war. And once you get rid of that, there's no white genocide. So again, here's a four-legged government instead of a three-legged government. And the Board of Trustees exists to assure self-government, to handle the mint, and allocate to the Congress the funds, and then everything else falls into place. So leaders, what do leaders do? Leaders get people what they need to do their job. And a good example is a waitress. She's the leader of the table. She goes to you and says, hey, what do you need? Here's the menu. Here's the water to drink. Here's the soda or the coffee. Here, can I take your order? She takes the order. She brings back the food. She's getting you what you need to have a meal. And sometimes they call it servant leadership, but that's not a proper concept. The idea of a waitress feeding the people what they need to eat is a pretty good idea. Now, let's talk about crying wolf, or not crying wolf, but crying fire and not doing anything about it. This guy always, basically his technique is to say, look at the current worst news, but he doesn't do anything about it. So you can cry fire, but you need a fireman. And that's what leaders do. They put out the fire. That's why you need an Alpine Union. So let's look at leadership. There's a few elements. The leader has to provide a vision, develop an organization, get the resources, make sure that the people have the training to do their job, give them the motivation, why their job is important and how it fits in, and then provide incentives. It could be money, it could be bonuses, it could be a lot of things. And then the leader has to provide the strategy to achieve the vision. To make it a little simpler, you get vision and strategy in one box, order and organization in another, tools and training in another, and incentives and motivation in another. And another way of simplifying it even further is vision, order, tools, and drive. Drive is why we're doing it. All right. Check out the alpineunion.org and get the BAM software, make an account, and email so we can get you some BAM. And if you like to be a distributor, become a distributor. We need distributors. Thanks.